So I'll start over again. Cinderella. I have to show the pictures too.
Yep, Cinderella, Cinderella, Cinderella.
At the ball. Once upon a time, there was a young girl as sweet as sugared milk, as kind as a mother's kiss, and as pretty as a sun setting in the sky. The girl had a very mean stepmother who made her life a misery. The stepmother and her two nasty daughters treated the girl as a servant.
Yeah.
They always made her scrub the floors and wash the dishes and pick up after them. They called the girl Cinderella because at day's end, she would sit among the cinders on the hearth and warm her tired bones. Cinderella was always cheerful and polite, even though her stepsisters treated her cruelly. Her kindness made her beautiful, and her beauty shone like sunlight through the dirt on her face and her ragged clothing. One day,
Yep.
something very exciting arrived. It was an invitation to the prince's fancy ball. All the fine people in the land were invited, and the sisters worried about what to wear and how to behave with royalty. Poor Cinderella sewed and ironed for days, but she herself was not going to the ball. She was only a servant. Besides, she did not have a gown nice enough for a ball. Finally, the great night arrived. As Cinderella helped her younger stepsister into her gown, the cruel girl asked, "Cinderella, why don't you come with us to the ball and dance with the prince?" The stepmother and her daughters laughed at the thought of dirty, barefoot Cinderella dancing with the handsome prince. As the stepmother and her daughters rode off to the ball, Cinderella cried a few tears. Suddenly, a beautiful fairy magically appeared from thin air. It was Cinderella's fairy godmother. "What is wrong, dear Cinderella?" asked her fairy godmother. Even though she had secretly watched over Cinderella's hard life, this was the first time she had ever seen the girl cry. Cinderella explained that she wanted very much to go to the ball to meet the prince. "And so you shall go, Cinderella, for you have always, always been good," said her fairy godmother. With her special magic, Cinderella's fairy godmother turned a hollow pumpkin into a beautiful coach. Then she found 6 mice, and waving her wand over them, she turned them into 6 fine gray horses, ready to pull Cinderella's carriage. All that was missing was a driver. A fat white rat was just the thing. "Now, sweet girl, you can go to the ball," said the fairy godmother. "But my clothes," whispered Cinderella. "I cannot go to the ball in dirty rags." With one touch of her sparkling wand, her fairy godmother turned Cinderella's old dress into a lovely gown trimmed in gold and silver. Best of all, she gave the girl a pair of tiny glass slippers that fit just right. With the help of the footman, Cinderella stepped into the waiting magical pumpkin coach. A shiver of excitement ran through her. Was this a dream? She pinched herself and decided that it was not. Just before the coach pulled away, Cinderella's fairy godmother spoke. "You must be home before midnight, Cinderella," she warned, "because my magic will disappear when the clock strikes 12. Cinderella promised her fairy godmother that she would not be late, and off she rode to the ball. The whole way there, her heart was pounding with anticipation. Cinderella stepped out of the coach and gracefully climbed the stairs to the palace. When she appeared in the doorway to the ballroom, the other guests hushed as she was escorted down the staircase. The prince took one look at her and fell in love with beautiful Cinderella. In fact, everyone at the ball fell in love with her. As the prince and Cinderella danced, all the people smiled and watched. No one recognized her. not even her stepsisters and stepmother. The prince asked Cinderella to dance every dance. Cinderella was so happy that she forgot the time. The clock had nearly finished striking the hour of midnight when Cinderella remembered the promise she had made to her fairy godmother. Cinderella dashed out of the ballroom, leaving the prince and the rest of the guests astonished. She ran down the palace steps in such a hurry that she left one of her glass slippers behind. The prince ran after Cinderella, but it was too late. She had disappeared into the shadows. He wanted to call out to her, but he realized that she had never told him her name. The prince found a glass slipper on the palace steps and vowed to find its mysterious owner. Cinderella ran all the way home, dressed in her rags. Her coach had turned back into a pumpkin, and the mice and the rat had all run away. All she had left was the other glass slipper. The next day, everyone in the land could talk of nothing but the ball and the beautiful stranger who had stolen the prince's heart. The prince was very unhappy. He had fallen in love with someone wonderful, but he did not know her name or anything about her. This tiny glass slipper is all that I have, he thought. I must use it to try to find her. That very day, he began to search all over the land, trying to find the maiden who could wear the delicate glass slipper. The prince and his servants went from house to house, inviting every woman, young or old, to try the slipper, but not one foot fit into it. At last, the young prince arrived at the house where Cinderella lived with her stepmother and 2 stepsisters. He was weary from his search and was beginning to think that he would never find the woman he loved. The stepsisters both tried to fit their large feet into the slipper, but it was plain to see that neither of those ladies was the mysterious stranger from the ball. Cinderella had been watching them from beside the fire. She asked softly, "May I please try?"
You can eat that box now. It should really clean you up.
Her stepmother and stepsisters laughed and told her not to waste the prince's precious time. The prince knelt and held out the glass slipper for Cinderella. Her foot slipped into it with ease. Cinderella had carefully kept the other glass slipper. Now she pulled it from her apron pocket and put it on too. The stepmother and stepsisters were astonished. "It fits," shrieked the stepmother. "It fits," howled the stepsisters. "It fits," sang Cinderella's fairy godmother, who had been watching all along. She once again waved her wand and dressed Cinderella in a beautiful gown.
Oh, yeah. They're always all gorgeous.
Cinderella went back to the palace with the prince. He was so overcome with love and joy that he married her that very day. The end.